Hi, Aaron.
Hey, Chris.
How you doing?
Good, you?
Good, good. Did you send the minutes in the packet earlier?
Yeah, those went out last Thursday, I believe.
Okay, it was a separate email.
Yeah, there was Thursday or Wednesday of last week was the first email with the agenda and the minutes. And then I sent out that revised agenda this morning, which is some more.
I did look through them. I just didn't have them in the current packet. So, okay.
Gotcha. Understandable.
Thanks.
I know Mr. Gamble told me he's out of town. He won't be attending today. So I guess we're just waiting on Kathy.
Okay.
And Gene. right. Kathy's joined Chris. I guess it's up to you if you want to proceed or wait for Gene to arrive. We got Christine from his office on as well.
Okay. I can't see who all's on here. Do we have a quorum? Is Darlene with us
Yeah, we do
too?
have a quorum. The only one we're missing is Paul Gamble, who notified me he wasn't going to be here.
Oh, okay, good. I can't see anybody other than you, so I wasn't sure who was all here. Okay, very good. Well, let's go ahead and call the meeting to order for the Erie Land Bank for the May 17th meeting. And in the interest of keeping minutes, this meeting is being recorded. So again, welcome to the meeting. At this time, I'd like to seek approval for the consent agenda. Have a motion for that?
So moved.
Have a second?
I'll second.
So moved.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion to approve the minutes from the meeting of April 19th, 2021. Have a motion for that?
I'll make that motion, Chris, to approve the minutes.
Okay.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Do we have any citizens to be heard today, Aaron?
I have nobody who's reached out to me to address, and there's nobody on as an attendee, I believe, that wants to speak.
Okay, very good. Let's move right into report of the executive director. Aaron?
All right. So work plan one, as you guys know, the only property we had hanging out there is 422 Poplar Street. The paperwork has been signed by the previous owner of that property. So that property is hopefully going to finally move forward. We're just waiting on the final documents from Attorney Sundberg so we can provide the just compensation on that property. I reached out to the person who put in the offer to purchase that property back in early 2020. She is still interested in purchasing the property. So as soon as we get the go ahead, we'll proceed with redrafting her sales agreement and getting that one conveyed over to her under a development agreement. And then that will close out work plan one as far as the work that the land bank has to do on it other than selling side lots. Work plan two, we got the memorandum from Attorney Sundberg for 2606 Jackson. So I've sent out the sales agreement and developers agreement to Mr. Outlaw on the purchase of that property. Other than that, we're still working on conveying some of those side lots and waiting on agreements to come back on a couple of the other ones that we have approved previously. So as soon as we get those back, we'll process to convey those over and then continue to try to dispose of the side lots that remain on there as best we can. So that's all I have under work plan one and work plan two, Chris.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. Before moving on, any questions or comments from anyone on the board?
Does anyone have any suggestions on how we could go about trying to advertise those? Get a little bit more action on those vacant lots. I know we're talking to the vacant or to the adjoining property owners. Are we doing anything else, Aaron, besides that? Are they posted on our website?
They all are posted on our website for sale under our property listings. So that other than that, that's about all we're doing to try to convey them at this point.
It's worth a discussion though, to see if maybe we can figure out a way to get more interest generated on those.
Right. And how much is it costing us to maintain those properties too, Aaron, at this point? I'm sure it's minimal, but it's something we need to be considering.
Yeah, it runs about $2,600 a year to mow and maintain those over the summer. So it's a considerable amount when you consider, where we're not really making anything off of the properties. I mean, everyone we convey, barely takes a dent into that maintenance cost.
Okay. Well, I think it's it's something we need to think about and look into further. If there is a creative way to advertise these beyond the website. And I'll give it some thought this month. I don't know if anybody else
Right.
wants to toss a few ideas around or bring some suggestions to the next meeting, but we probably should see what we can do beyond what we're doing now.
Yeah, and I did on the revised agenda I sent out, I added a number 4 under unfinished new business to talk about advertisement of properties as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on to solicitor's report.
Good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? It's nice. I hope you guys had a great weekend. Sun was shining.
Mhm.
It was nice to be outside. What I wanted to do was provide you with an overview with regard to those properties. There really are going out in 2 batches, 2 of which are designated for our West Side Bayfront. One of those 2 properties has an issue that we're going to work through to try to make sure that we can maximize the net sale price. There are a couple of liens on it that we're going to need to take care of. The other one I was concerned about because there was a bail bond lien, but that's been resolved. So the property at 521 West 3rd is not a problem. We can go ahead with that. The other 4 properties are designated for Bayfront East Side Task Force. And I think that 3 of the 4 have to do with Satula Garage. What I am checking into is there is an old PA revenue lien, old Pennsylvania revenue lien that is earmarked against Satula's Garage. The properties are owned by Mr. and Mrs. Satula, which is a different entity. So I'm trying to quietly confirm as to whether that lien designated against Satula's Garage is a separate entity. And if it is, then we don't have to worry about it. But if it's not, then we'll address it. So I'll have an update here in the next week or so, because we're anxious to get that transferred to the Bayfront East Side Task Force. And then the other one has a federal tax lien with regard to Kathleen Abate only. That does attach to the property, but there is an avenue where we can address that as well. So this initial memo was intended to give you kind of an overview as to what issues there are with regard to certain properties. And then I'll work through that and update that so that the board is aware and is able to see what progress we're making to get these cleared so that we can make these transfers as quickly as possible. And I would anticipate that we'll be able to do that so that we can get a go ahead on all these within the next 30 days. That's my goal and directive. So I'll keep you posted. I'll loop everybody in this process. I also sent out the memo with regard to my evaluation or analysis with regard to the potential conflict of interest. And Chairman or the Executive Director already spoke with regard to Michael Outlaw, did some research and came to the legal conclusion that there really was no conflict of interest. There was no inside information that was exchanged between any of the board members, and including me as the solicitor. Because as it turns out, when I'm starting to go through the paperwork, lo and behold, I've done real estate work for one of the 2 bidders. So again, as you know, when there's not an exchange of information or some type of coaching or monitoring, there's really no conflict of interest. In a small town like Erie, we all know somebody, and my wife and I remind each other all the time, don't say anything because that's their cousin. That's how it happens in Erie. Everybody's related. So you have to be super careful. So we're going to run into those situations, especially when you have, the city of Erie is a huge employer. So we're going to have those situations. But as long as everything is above the board and you're following the protocol, and the fact that the city of Erie Land Bank has that format that you're following, that is put in place to make sure that there aren't any conflict of interest. So I think we're good. I think we're good with that. And there shouldn't be any questions or concerns with regard to that transaction. Executive Director and Chairman, I know in your agenda, you have about the advertisement of properties. I can talk to that now, or we can wait, whatever meets your thoughts.
Aaron, did you want to address something specifically on that, or can we just let the solicitor speak to it now?
Yeah, we can let Gene speak to it. I just wanted to open it
Okay.
up for ideas and thoughts.
Yep.
Okay, and before you do, Gene, I just want to thank you for the memo you sent out regarding the conflict of interest discussion from last month. I thought your explanation really helped me understand it better, so thank you.
My pleasure. That's why I'm here. I want that interaction. I want that feedback, because there's going to be these unique situations coming up, and I want everybody to be as comfortable as possible. And I always say, hey, we got to find good, bad, or indifferent. We got to find out. Let's make sure everybody's on the same page and headed in the same direction. So my pleasure. With regard to the advertising, and I've kicked this around a little bit. My paralegal, Tina, and I went through the other land banks, their procedures and practices. And I kind of laid that out because I wanted to make sure that the Erie Land Bank was doing as much as we could, and that we were consistent with what other land banks are doing. And I'm happy to say we're doing as much, if not more, than Allegheny County, for Pittsburgh, and for Philadelphia. We're trying. And so we're putting it on the, we're putting it on.
I know that I don't have a real voice here, but I want to compare us to Allegheny County, because there was just a very critical story. I don't know if it was in the Post-Gazette. They've done nothing. They've sold nothing. So I think if you're going to put it in context, you have to go beyond saying we're doing what they're doing and say, well, what are the results? So we are doing better, because we're doing better than Allegheny County, because they had moved nothing in the 10 years that they've been in existence. So we don't want that to be the metric. Sorry, I don't think that's a good.
And Liz, thank you for that. We are doing better. We're doing, I think, phenomenal, quite frankly. And I think that what's probably going to happen in the Commonwealth is that they're going to look to us as to what we've been doing, just to measure them on on where they stand in relation to the city of Erie Land Bank, because we are doing a tremendous job. What I was looking at was in their procedures and their protocols. So our procedures and our protocols and what we're doing from a practical standpoint is in excess of what these other large areas are doing. There was a thought, or at least a mention or a discussion. Is it worth our time and efforts to advertise in the Erie Times or in the Erie County Legal Journal? I think not. It's an economic decision. It's very expensive to advertise in the Times News and in the Erie County Legal Journal. We run into that situation with estates and foreclosures and things like that. It's expensive. And I think that it's not inappropriate for us to expect some involvement from investors and buyers to go on to avail themselves to what's there. Our webpage, it's probably linked into the city of Erie. And then what I've also done as of the end of last week, when Tina and I were going through this memo, is I reached out to the executive director at the Greater Erie Board of Realtors. We're not hiring, we're probably not going to hire a realtor, but what I want to find out is, does the Greater Erie Board of Realtors have a webpage that we could link these properties into? So if there are realtors or investors of real estate agents who are looking for properties, that this is another free avenue for us to get the word out. There is the I want to say it's the landlord and tenant. The renters, is it the Renters Association? I'm struggling coming up with their names on
The Apartment Association.
Yeah. Thank you. You know, should we reach out to them and say, hey, look, can we put these properties on your webpage?
So could I just jump in, because I've been thinking about this, and how could we engage the real estate community? Are we prepared to pay a buyer's agent perhaps a reduced commission? I mean, they're obviously can't expect folks to do this for free. I think as a board, or we need to have a discussion. Are we prepared to do that? It has certainly opened the market up to a lot more potential buyers. But, the flip side of that is we have to be willing to engage with the licensed agents who work by commission, who are, they have their buyers and their networks. Do we have a mechanism in place for that right now? And are we willing to do that?
And again, what you're doing is you have to make that economic decision. And the thing is, they're not of sufficient amounts that it's
right.
But I think the Apartment Association might be a better fit. And then
there really isn't enough there to incentivize agents to even drive by the properties or put their name on a contract.
Chris, that's right.
So, how do we get the word out there? And is it utilizing the city's megaphone and maybe one or two press conferences a year to remind people we have inventory here, or maybe I don't even know if there's enough to really engage with an auctioneer. I don't know what options we would have, because there just isn't much in terms of price here on these properties. So,
right.
But I think we can utilize the city's social media maybe a little bit more, and maybe once or twice a year do an ad to have a mega property sale or something. I don't know. We don't want these piling up though. So
I haven't looked in depth on this, but I remember a while ago, Detroit, which has 80,000 parcels in their land bank. They've got a big, of course, they have a lot of property too, but they would host like an open house once a week or once a year, and invite people in to learn about the land bank, see some of their properties, get to know them. I think they even had a way that you could purchase on site during that day. So that might be something, but it's again, not something that I've exhaustively looked into recently, but could certainly be willing to do a little more research on what other land banks are doing to help move these properties.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I did, I'm sorry, Chris.
No, go ahead, Aaron. Go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say, and that going off what Gene said and that, is right now our amount we're getting for these properties is low. And, it did some little bit of looking into to try to see what we could do. And right now, we tear down a house that there's no signage, there's no identification to the neighborhood that the land bank did anything, and in talking with Erie County Land Bank, and they put signs out in front of their, those little bandit signs that, the Erie County Land Bank is involved in that property, so, initially, we could look at doing signage on the lots, Erie Land Bank property available, that way the neighborhood kind of gets the buzz going about that, that lot is for sale and it is available. Because right now, we send those letters out to the adjoining property owners and we put it up on the website. But other than that, it's just another vacant lot that somebody has torn down a blighted property. So, and then, once we get that and we get that cast at larger net, then, our offers for the properties may go up, and then we may be able to explore, some of the other options of sale.
Yeah.
It might be worth a small expenditure, a small amount to invest in a couple dozen signs that we can, well, maybe more than that, but that we can place in the windows of the properties, just like realtors use. Because you're right, unless you don't know, you drive by it and you have no idea. So,
Aaron, I was actually going to make the same recommendation because I did notice that when with the procedures and policies that Gene sent us, that Pittsburgh Land Bank does do that. They do put signage on their property lots when they're conveying them. I think that the purpose of doing it was a little different. That was in case somebody wanted to petition the land bank. And I haven't had a chance to review all of it. Gene, you might want to speak to that more, but I did notice that they do put signage on their lots, their properties.
I think that if you start with that, with the signage, and again, you're right, it's now the neighborhood talks about it. That's the marketing that gets done. That's sometimes the best marketing that can be done is by word of mouth. So you're right, unless people know, but signs that you're probably going to need a few of them because they're probably going to end up missing. But once you get it out there and get them talking, I think that'll help facilitate some discussions and people interested in at least finding out about them and hopefully purchasing.
I wanted to ask about a couple of things. One is, well, first of all, this land bank website is really nice. However, when you go to the City of Erie website, it despite some upgrades, it's really not intuitive. So you just type in Erie Land Bank and it takes you to the meetings, but you have to scroll down a bit and find out, that the Erie Land Bank meetings are going to be on Zoom. The link on the city website is not there to immediately help people know what the land bank does and that there are properties for sale. I'm thinking about, at least in my neighborhood, next door Cockwa always picks up like the City of Erie press conferences, but next door, and I don't know, I think that there are some paid ads that you can do on the next door site, but maybe that, since a lot of neighborhoods already have next door, that might be a social media site to look into. There's so many vacant lots for sale, and do we know, are they always acquired by next door neighbors? Because I'm wondering if maybe that's when there's vacant lots for sale, because of the interest in community gardens, if you might want to let the Food Policy Council, or whatever it's called, Food Policy Council in the city know when those vacant lots are up in case people want them for community gardens, because it could be a community garden that isn't necessarily associated with, say, one of the established neighborhood organizations, but maybe a church or some other place of worship wants to put in a community garden. So those would be some low cost or no cost suggestions, but I think you need to look at it. Your website is great because it's easy to use. You click on something and you get all the information. But, and I see Frank replied to my my thing about the City of Erie website.
So
Okay,
Liz,
he's
are
going
you
to get
thinking,
together with Aaron and hash that out. Thank you, Frank.
so Liz, are you thinking that if somebody goes to the city page, that, I mean, really, maybe even on the front page, the landing page, where there's
Yeah.
a bold link
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
say, here's available properties through the
Mhm.
through the land bank, not buried, you know, two
Right.
or three pages deep.
Right. And because this is part of, the whole Erie refocus thing was part of, blight and getting properties back to be productive. So I think it would be really important to, it would be useful to do that. It would be a great experiment
Yeah.
about, the landing page. What are people then landing on and what are they interested
Yeah.
in? So,
Well, that's a
but
good
my
point. Thank you.
compliments to Land Bank for having a really nice, website that, and I'm looking at Detroit. They haven't resumed their open houses because of COVID, but man, their website is really amazing in terms of like being welcoming to people. So
Well, thank you for that, because I think, we focus on our website. We don't think about the link that it's back to the city page. So that, plus we could advertise, if it's a quarterly or semi-annual open house once things reopen. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Did we, Gene, was there anything else you wanted to cover on the topic of advertising, or?
That was it, but I'll keep continue to kick it around, and I'm not bashful about throwing ideas out, because yeah, the more we can help facilitate the transfer of these properties, the better. That's our goal and purpose. So I'll continue brainstorming here as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Gene.
Okay, on to unfinished business and new business. Back to you, Aaron.
All right. So as you guys know, we presented you guys the proposed 2021 work plan a couple months ago, back in March, I believe it was, and you guys approved to present that to the Erie County Land Bank for funding. So on April 28th, the Erie County Land Bank voted and approved to fund the 2021 Erie Land Bank work plan. They're going to provide $477,000 in funding toward that work plan, with the remaining portion being taken up by a couple other different sources. So I put this on the agenda since you guys, approved to submit the proposed plan. I just wanted to put it on there for the board to approve the 2021 work plan as presented.
Okay. Any questions on that or discussion? So you need us to approve that again, Aaron, or?
Yeah, just to approve it as basically the final list of properties.
Okay. Okay, can I get a motion then to approve the final version of the 2021 work plan?
I'll make a motion to approve the 2021 work plan.
Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Aaron, back on to acquisition.
All right, so as part of the agreement with the Land Bank and the Redevelopment Authority, and since the Redevelopment Authority acquires these properties on behalf of the Erie Land Bank using our eminent domain powers, I need a motion from the Erie Land Bank to authorize the Redevelopment Authority to acquire the properties on their behalf for the 2021 work plan. So that would, of course, then the authority would proceed with all of the processes involved, meeting with the planning commission, gathering the appraisals, and having Gene and his team put together all the legal work needed for the condemnations on those identified properties.
Sure. Can I have a motion authorizing the authority to conduct the acquisition process?
So moved.
A
And
second?
I'll second it. Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it.
All right.
Property demo.
Yeah, so I sent out the bid tab for 1207 East 26th Street. That's a property that's currently owned by the Redevelopment Authority. My plan was under the work plan to utilize the Erie Land Bank and the demolition fund to get that property down on the ground at 1207 East 26th Street. So I provided the bid tab. We received 2 bids on that property, one for DRS and one from Empire, with DRS being the lowest bidder. So just wanted to put that out there for you guys to approve those demolition bids.
Before we move to do that, I guess more of a comment than a question. I'm just really surprised at the difference in the bid amount when I saw that. It is. Any comments on that or thoughts or?
I believe there was a little bit of confusion between the 2 bids out at the time for the Erie Land Bank and the Erie County Land Bank, one being a large commercial demolition in Girard for the Erie County Land Bank. And just, yeah, a little bit of confusion there on Empire's part.
Okay. Sometimes when you see such a large disparity, it raises a concern, like, is one of the parties missing something here? So.
Yeah, no, I thought the same thing, but it's just a 2-unit duplex on East 26th Street. It's nothing we haven't done before.
Yeah, the lower one made more sense. I was wondering if there was something that the other one knew that the other bidder didn't. So, okay.
Right.
All right. So can I get a motion to approve the bid for demo of 1207 East 26th?
I will make that motion, Chris,
And a
to
second?
approve the demo.
Kathy seconds.
Thanks, Kathy. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. We already covered advertising, unless, Aaron, there's anything you want to add to that?
No, I'll explore some signage pricing, and I can get that back to the board at the next month meeting.
Okay. Very good. On to other business.
I have nothing.
Okay. I will just add a quick point here, since we approved the work plan, and part of that work plan in earlier discussions was providing some funds for the Quintee site up on 16th and French. Our environmental consultant is going to be here tomorrow. We assume testing will start here in a matter of a couple of weeks. The goal is still to work towards a demolition here towards the end of this year. It's a large portion of our budget here, but obviously an important project. So they'll be up there tomorrow morning, and we should learn more at that meeting. So just wanted to update all of you on that. That's all I have. Aaron, you good?
Yeah, I'm good. I appreciate everything. Thank
Okay.
you.
Anyone on the board, questions or comments? I don't see all of you on the screen, so I assume that means no. So, okay, if not, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right.
Deborah.
Thanks, Deborah. Darlene, all in favor, aye.
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 Okay, thank you, everyone. Look forward to updates and meeting again